Hi there and welcome to another video. My name is Perminus Wainaina, CEO Corporate Staffing Services. And today it's a very exciting day because with me is a special guest, and special because she's going to share her career journey with us. And before I introduce her, as you all know, myself, I didn't start in HR. I started as an accountant, and so every time I meet and engage with people, they always ask me, how did you do it? So when I was getting to know the guest and getting to hear her background, what she has done, and what she's doing now, it was really an amazing story. And I would want her to share the story with us. So, welcome. And let me start by asking the guest to introduce herself, tell us a little bit about herself.
So, I'm Ruby, of course, Ruby Amondi, and people know me as a fashion designer. And even without introducing myself, someone can tell that I'm a designer because I'm always dressed in my stuff. Yeah, and what people don't know is that I'm also a therapist. Yeah, I'm a counseling psychologist. And of course, I didn't start immediately after campus to be a psychologist. It's something that I decided to pick up along the way. Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. So please share with us the journey because I would imagine there's a reason why you studied psychology. Why did you study it?
Um, of course, because of my personality, I'm someone who is very empathetic. And I'm someone who knows what it feels. I feel so deeply, by the way. I know what it feels like to be in situations, and I wanted to be in a position where I can change people's lives just by listening to their stories and getting solutions. So that is exactly why I went for this career. And even while in campus, I worked with so many NGOs in this helping career. I worked with refugees, I worked with people who've been sexually abused, I worked in children's homes. So it's an experience that I really enjoyed. But right after campus, I went into fashion.
So before you get there, how long did the course take you?
Um, it took me 4 years. It took me just 4 years.
It was
Yeah.
an undergraduate.
Yes. It took me 4 years, of course, as an undergrad. And all through the 4 years, I was actually working with different organizations, either as an intern or a volunteer. Yes.
Okay. Did you like the job itself, whatever you were doing that time?
Yes, of course, I loved the job very much. I loved the job very much.
Okay.
Yes.
So here you are after 4 years. You've qualified, you've graduated, and yet, did you go looking for a job to be a therapist, a psychologist?
Actually, immediately after campus, I did some few months gig in one of the children's home, and there was so much abuse, so intense that I did not even expect. Like someone was raped by the dad, someone is pregnant for the uncle, and these are children between the age of, let me say, 5 to 13. That was the age group that we were dealing with. It was a rescue center, and the kind of things I saw there were too intense, to the point that I knew that that is the point when it hit me that what we studied in school is it's textbook. Now there's the real world. Am I ready for this? That was a turning point for me. Am I ready for this? I've studied my textbooks. I know what it feels like. I know when a client reports, there is that introduction. There's these textbook things we have in school, but now there's real life. And like a doctor, their lives depend on you. That is how serious this course is. And it saddens me to see how people take it as a joke. Someone just go for a 6 months course and you're now dealing with these big issues. It is not as simple as people think. And I want to translate it directly. Kujita mkutano. And ask myself if I'm ready to handle people's lives, because you're handling people's lives. If you don't get it right, they can commit suicide. They can slip into depression. That is how serious this course is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're here. There's something I've picked that you felt that the course it may not have prepared you for the real situation out there. So, and I know we are going to discuss in detail what you do right now.
Yes.
But was that the moment you now thought about doing something different, or what happened?
Yeah, so you've taken all these 4 years in campus. You've been going for these attachments. You've been working with refugees. I went to a HIV and AIDS center to do counseling. I've worked in children's homes. And then you clear campus. And now I'm an employee in a rescue center. Children are being abused to a level you cannot even explain. An uncle, I don't know, has done what, has infected the child or something. So it was a very intense 6 months of my life. And I'm like, you know what, I didn't even see this coming. Of course, I know we are helping people. I didn't know this is the magnitude of what people are going through out here. And what people don't understand is that you cannot pour from an empty cup. I'm seeing so many wounded therapists out here who are still bleeding on their clients. You cannot heal someone if you've not dealt with yourself. So I really think that during these courses, it is important for us, even as students, to be given some self-assessment. Because if we do some research, most people who are in helping professions, this is actually scientific. Most of us had some kind of dysfunction. Like in my case, I was an orphan, and I saw that I will not see an orphan suffer. Someone was from a broken home and they saw they'll help someone. These things are usually mostly triggered by some kind of experience. But now in the coursework, it is not captured where we are actually healed from our own wounds. So when you start dealing with people, you'll get a trigger. Someone will tell you something you went through and then it triggers you and you end up dealing with bleeding on the client. So I think for me, I realized that, you know what, I can't pour from an empty cup. Why are these stories so painful? I know I should be empathetic, but why are they getting to me so much that I don't even sleep at night? And I realized that I need to do a lot of work on myself before I go back to this course, when I am ready to listen and actually be very objective without these things affecting me. Yeah, because how will I help if I don't sleep at night because something happened to you, you know? Yeah. So there's a very serious balance you need in your life, in your personality, and a client's life. You cannot live for a client. You just give them their issues, but when you go home, you're living your life. So for me, I had to go through that so that I don't bleed on my clients. Yes, and of course, during that break, you also need to pay your bills and all that. So I had to take a break from that and go for therapy. Number one, I had to go for therapy. Yeah, so that my cup is filled before I start emptying it on other people's cups. And number two, I had to find a way of not living my client's life where I hear that someone committed suicide and I start having nightmares because of it. Yes.
So did you taking the course, you being pursuing the area of psychology, was it by choice? Why did you settle for the course?
It was by choice. It was by choice. Actually, I was a job student, and you choose what you want. Yes, and like I mentioned, I'm someone who grew up as an orphan, and I know the dynamics of.
So that had a great influence in terms of you wanting to help others, become a psychologist.
And I can assure you, most people in this profession, if you listen to them, most of them, there's something that led them to that course. Most of them. That is actually scientific research. Yes.
Great. So here you are, you've joined, you've started working for this children home. You have doubts, questions here and there. So how did you transition to fashion?
I've always been fabulous. My whole life. Like, I'm so fabulous. I see clothes, I alter them.
It's your passion. Dressing well, looking, image.
Yeah, but I never at some point thought I'd actually have this as a career and become a brand. That I did not plan. It just happened. Life just happened. So when people ask me, how did you plan for this? I have no idea. I just found myself in this career, making money out of it. Yes.
So thank you very much for that background story. It's quite touching.
Really?
And yes, I've also gotten to learn one or two things. I did know that people actually, most of the people in the helping professions, there's something greater driving them, much more than them, becoming qualified in that area of specialization. Yeah, so getting back now to your situation, you've now switched to fashion. How has it been?
Well, it's been fabulous. Can you imagine looking fabulous from Monday to Monday? Like, it is great. Like, I can control what I want to look like. That is something that drives me. Like, I don't want people to be in control of what I look like.
Mm.
And that gives me some sort of power.
Mm.
I'm not obsessed with power, but I just want to be able to control what I look like.
Mm.
And that is the beauty of fashion, because from the fabric
Mm.
to the sewing, to
Mm.
the print, to the length, I control that. And it's different. I don't want you guys to feel bad about it,
Mm.
but we make that decision for you most of the times.
Okay. Okay.
You just say,
Interesting.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
work with that. I can work with that.
Yeah.
But it is a designer who actually came with that look.
Okay.
Yes. So
So
it
your
feels
area of
good.
specialization is design. You said that you used to post photos on Facebook. People would see
Yes.
and they will love it.
Yes.
Just tell us what your business entails.
Well, it used to be for the gram. Facebook was there, and it gave me an opportunity to live a dream of looking fabulous and people admiring me. I of course wanted to be a model when I was growing up. So I think Facebook gave us that opportunity. Facebook makes you anything. Anyone is a doctor. Everyone is everything. So
You can be a politician.
yeah, people
Even
are
if you've never
political analysts.
stood in a podium. Yeah. There are people making a career out of that. I mean, look at YouTube. Yeah.
So social media has a way of making you anything you want to be, which is good and bad, and very bad actually. So it made me a model. And the good thing is that the reception was so amazing. People wanted the outfits I was posting. And I was someone who just used to go to the tailor and alter. I didn't even have a shop. So I told them I made it. And then they asked me, can I have it?
Interesting.
Can you imagine starting a business with no capital? Because the capital was their deposit.
Wow.
Like, give me some deposit, I'm going to, then when I deliver, you can pay the balance. So nobody supported me. It's the clients who actually gave me capital. Yes.
So it's one thing to look good, and even now you look super good.
It's a daily thing.
Exactly. Then you talked something technical, talked about fabric. So here you are. I mean, for example, you could be looking good, but now the technical aspect, because now here you have clients, you have to impress them.
Yes.
So how did you, and you're not trained.
Yes.
How do you end up delivering to the client expectations?
Initially, I didn't even have a shop. Like I said, I just used to go to random tailors, and I got a good one who was a liar. Okay, actually, those things are actually true. Tailors are liars. So I used to give him the concept of what I want, and he would execute, and then I'd pay him for that. That is very unfortunate, because when you don't have a shop and you're looking for different tailors, the world will call you something which I don't even say. But can I say it?
Yeah.
You're a broker.
Be open. Yeah.
Do you know you're a broker at that point?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's even if you come up with the concept, as long as you don't own a business in Kenya, you're a broker. It is unfortunate that designing is still looked at the same way as therapy. There are things which people don't relate to. So in Kenya, when you're a designer, you have to learn how to execute. Because if you can't execute, people will call you a broker. She just gets people to do it for her. Why don't I go direct to this person?
Yeah.
So designing is still something that really needs recognition in this country, because people get photos. I've seen my photos on people's phones, and they take it to somebody else to do it. It's your work, but they're going to someone who's cheaper. Because for you, you would charge them even for the idea itself. You've used your brain and your time. Yeah, so that is how I started, but I managed to save a little bit. And then I got my own location in downtown, which I worked in for a while. And then I eventually moved now to Westlands. Yes.
Now, whenever we make a switch, there are all these self-doubt. Am I good enough? Should I have stuck, in my old profession? Did you have moments like those?
A lot. Actually, there are many instances where I had to ghost a few friends. Because these friends, can you imagine you're doing all these fashion shows? I'm showcasing at Miss Kenya. I'm showcasing at all this Nairobi Fashion Week, Kisumu Fashion Week. You're becoming a brand. Because my generation of designers, we were really publicized. We were really publicized. We're not that the generation of my parents where a tailor was just under a tree. Us, we were now being embraced by the public. So can you imagine you're doing all these things, you're proud of yourself, then a friend just asks you, and now when do you intend to get a job? And you thought you're working.
Wow.
You thought you're working. Like, wait, I don't have a job. You don't have a job. Because I'm like, why don't I have a job? Where do you work? But I'm a designer. Are you kidding me? Get a job.
What is that?
So for a long time, people saw me as jobless.
Mm.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Because for many people, a job is where you are employed. So if you're not employed, you're jobless. So, and this is someone who we were with in campus.
Mm.
How can you not know that even those employers have their jobs? Like, then who, if everyone is employed, who will be the employer?
Mm.
That is something I don't get.
Mm.
Yes, we can't all be. Even in therapy, now that I'm also doing therapy,
Mm.
I'm the employer. I'm not employed by someone.
Yeah.
So it is very unfortunate for graduates to think that the only way to get a job is to be employed.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those self-doubt, and did you have people call you fundi and try to,
Yes. Yes.
to some extent, because here it took you 4 years
Mhm.
to be a psychologist,
Mhm.
and people would term it as a more serious profession
Yes.
compared to a fundi, where the idea we have of an image
No.
consultant or
Yeah.
fashionista is, someone who, it's either they're doing it out of passion or they didn't make it in life, and that's why they are pursuing being a fundi, so to speak.
Do you know what people need to understand? That this is the beauty of being in therapy. We go for therapy also. Like I also take myself through sessions, even by myself. Because the things people will tell you out here, people, some people, I'm even educated more than them. I'm more educated than them. I'm like, you know what? Do you know how many? There's a time I said that and I traded on Facebook. Yeah, there's a client who was giving me hell. And I just had to tell her, do you know how many degrees I have? And the next thing, there were hashtags all over social media. And people started bullying me. She's so arrogant. This fundi is so arrogant. I trended on social media for like 2 straight weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
They didn't know your background. They didn't know that beyond being a fundi, you're someone of substance.
You do interviews.
Yes.
You can tell a smart person.
Yeah.
I also am a psychologist. I can tell a not so smart person. And I can tell, dude, I'm smarter than you. I can tell. But I don't tell it because client is king.
Yeah.
But sometimes that day I was like, do you have any idea how many degrees I have? And she was so hard, she just went and posted this fundi here. And now when I look at why people were reacting to my statement, is because they are shocked at my, right now we say audacity. The audacity? You are a fundi. How dare you talk back at us? Yeah, but I think people need to understand that the smarter you are, the more successful this business is going to be. So even if you're going to inform in the informal sector, you still need to study about those things. Yes.
Good.
So people call me a fundi. It makes me upset, kind of. But now I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It pays my bills. You won't pay my bills with your attitude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, whenever it comes to making a change, we do have to rely on people. Either call them mentors, coaches, supporters. Did you have people come through for you?
Nope.
You didn't?
Yes,
at all.
because I think my sister was more supportive. My sister was very, very supportive.
In what way? Was it just emotional, or?
She kind of would come through with my bills because she understood me. She's someone who's landed now. She's doing her PhD. She's exposed. Actually, I've realized the higher you go in terms of education, the more open-minded you are. Iya katikati hapa is which brings some sort of pride. But those people who are actually enlightened, they will not look down at any career. They will not. So she used to come through because, when you're starting a business, it takes time for it to teeth. I went through serious teething problems. Yes. And of course, at the end of the month, there is rent needed. And someone cannot give you deposit because you don't have a shop. Can you send me deposit? Nairobi tunawajua. So I experienced serious teething problems, and the people I used to reach out to, like my friends, they were asking me why I don't want to get a job because I don't have a job. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still apply the skills you learned in psychology in your current profession?
I'm even doing therapy right now, but in fashion, yes, I do.
And the reason I'm sorry to cut you, but the reason I'm asking this is because when we reflect back, I mean, and you've seen this on social media since, why did I have to learn algebra? I don't
Yes.
make use of it. And
Yes.
for me, when I reflect back, when I look now, I'm a HR practitioner. Sometimes I do interviews. I'll interview finance professionals, and that helps. My background helps because when I did finance, and I'm still applying it in a way. So for you, and that helps. So in your case now, you've done something totally, I would say they are in, separate worlds. Do you
Yes.
find yourself applying psychology, or
I
in the
have.
world of image and fashion design, you don't apply?
I don't apply it when designing as such,
Yeah.
but when dealing with clients, I occasionally do apply it because I'm allowed to give an example.
Yes, please.
I apply it a lot when I'm dealing with wedding clients,
Mm.
and I'm not gonna mention names because they'll feel like if they're watching this. There's a couple that came to ask me for wedding outfits, but the first person to come was the bride. They were going to get married. And the bride came and we were waiting for the groom to come. Where my shop was and where the groom was, because I used to still be in town by then, where the groom was, his office, is literally 10 minutes away if he walks. 10 minutes away. Can you believe it took 2 hours? And like, where is this guy? He's coming. We waited and she was so impatient. And when he eventually came, he was on his phone. So we are asking him, so for the groom, do you want your shirt to be like this? He's on the phone. Vile mtamua. Yeah, vile mtamua mi sina shida. Nyie amueni tu. I could already tell that this man was being dragged to the altar. And I was burning. Should my psychology kick in and I give this lady some therapy to prepare her for this? Or do I just stick to client and whatever? And it really burned me. And for some reason, she couldn't see what I could see. And this is not just one client. I see this a lot in wedding clients. I can actually tell a failed marriage. So it happened. He was very non-partisan. He only paid for the outfits. And by the time this lady was calling me that she's not gonna pick the outfits, it really
For you,
hurt.
it wasn't a surprise.
Yes, and I'm like, should I tell her? So sometimes I'm usually torn between speaking out. I'm like, no, they've not come for therapy. If they came for therapy, I could speak up. But they've not come for therapy. But I see that a lot in wedding. I can already tell this man is not gonna settle in this marriage. I can tell. So yes, I'm usually torn between speaking out or not. But sometimes I mind my business.
Okay.
Because they've come for the clothes. They didn't come for your opinion. Yes.
Okay, so quite interesting. So now, how do you divide your time in terms of your new profession, your new career, and what you are trained?
Well, I didn't know when I'm going to be ready for therapy because it's a long journey. And I still tell upcoming therapists, first of all, you have to do your own inner healing because I'm seeing so many wounded people. Do you know why there are many wounded people? And it's now when therapy is becoming rampant? Because therapists are bleeding on their clients. You need to be so self-aware that when something triggers you, you know when to step back. It took me a long time, so I sneaked back into it from church. Yeah, I'm actually a counselor at CITAM. Yes, they do free counseling. Yeah, so I'm one of them. So that is where I started going back slowly to it's like a refresher. But learning has never stopped. Okay. By the time I was in campus years ago, things like polyamory. I don't know if you've heard of that.
In fact, I'm going to bite my tongue if I try to say that
polyamory
word.
Is dating many people at the same time.
Oh. Okay.
By then we had LGBT. Right now we have LGBTQ. So many. These things were not there when we were in campus. Like so many upcoming. Okay, of course LGBT was there, but now there are other Q. All those other ones were not there. We have so many things which are coming up along the way. That is why it is very important for therapists to keep doing refresher courses to these upcoming issues, which they don't do. So you've stuck to your traditional knowledge and you want to counsel someone and give your own opinion. Like I'm a Christian, I can't impose my Christianity on these people. You get my point? So that is something that therapists don't do. We don't refresh to these upcoming trends every day.
Every day.
By then there was not transgender in Kenya.
Mm.
Now we have a few transgenders. Yes, that I know of. Yeah, so
Great. Yeah.
so I still do a lot of refresher courses. I still study, I attend trainings, and I keep doing my own self-therapy so that I'm very aware that I'm bleeding or giving a client my own opinion to their issue.
So psychology is still something of interest to you?
Yes, I'm now doing therapy, of
Yeah.
course. I'm
Okay.
actually, before I came here, I'm just from a session.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's someone who's watching us and they're thinking, wow, I'm in a similar situation. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis, but I'm passionate about something else. What did you tell them?
Yeah, I believe I don't like these deathbed talks. Like some motivational speakers write about you will cry on you or whatever. I don't believe we are living for what people will think on our deathbeds, because you won't even care. You are in pain maybe. But what I believe is that in the long run you'll actually regret the things you didn't try, failed opportunities, more than you'd regret failing. Because for me, I think I'd have regretted more not trying fashion than trying. You get. And I've gone for auditions for modeling. There are those when I was young, of course. There are those that went through and there are those that didn't go through, by the way. But I don't regret those that didn't go through. I would have lived with what if. So for me, I really think people need to see how much time we have in this world. Life is so brief that you cannot live asking yourself questions forever. You really need to go for those things. Yeah.
Does it matter even if 45, 50?
I honestly don't think age should be a factor. It's a factor. What is a factor is people's opinions to people. And that already shows that you need to deal with some of your inner stuff. If people's opinion matter to you that much, it means your locus of validation is actually people, not yourself. Yeah, but I really don't think that age is something that should prevent people from doing what they want.
You back.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So 2 questions now as we wrap up. So number one, if someone wants to reach you, they would want to consult you as a psychologist, how do they go about it? And also fashion. Do you have a page where they can be able to see some of your correction?
For those who want to reach me, of course, almost everyone now has a phone. You can go to social media and check my page, Style by Ruby, on Facebook. And Instagram is the same, Style by Ruby, but Kenya. Style by Ruby Kenya. And for those who need counseling, my firm in Aitua Lorem Counselors. I don't know if you need the number.
I think they can. We can provide the number if we have your permission.
Yes, you can provide my number. Okay. I'm in Westlands Commercial Center, office number B7.
Okay.
Yes, from 9 to 5.
Okay. Great. So thank you, Ruby, for sharing your story. It's quite been inspirational, and I've also learned a lot. And before we call it a day, I would want you to just briefly say something about mental health, because many of the people watching are professionals. And I know this is an area that really has been there's a bit of focus now, especially because of COVID and whatever has been happening. So what would you tell someone watching this about mental health, and for those especially who are going through something?
I'd say it sounds cliche, but it's actually okay not to be okay. Because once you acknowledge that someone is not okay is when they'll be open to getting help. And the saddest thing is that we still don't have much support in Africa as a whole with mental health. People still think we can pray some things which can be, you can see a therapist, but people prefer to pray over them. Like there's a problem with addiction in some family. By the time they were coming for therapy and we managed to get the problem, they had actually been breaking generational curses and foundations, and in church, of course, and of course church has their place in giving you spiritual nourishment, but there's also a place for therapy. So I still think that we need to stop demonizing mental health to be some sort of possession or something that you need to pray about and something like that. We can pray over some things, but some things you actually need to deal with a therapist to be able to explore.
Get help from a professional.
Yes, and of course not all religious leaders have the knowledge in psychology, not all of them. So most of them will actually just pray your problem away and break yokes, yeah. Well, you just need a professional to walk with you through the process. Yes.
Great. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your, candid, you being candid and being very open about your situation. I'm sure our viewers, they've really been able to, pick one or two things that can help them in their career. And for me, the biggest takeaway is that, it's not about other people's opinions. It's all about you. What do you want to achieve? People are going to talk, whether you like it or not, and they always be having an opinion. So thank you, Ruby, for your time. I know both of us are in Westlands, and I'm sure people will reach out to you either in terms of fashion or in terms of even advice and counseling for that matter. Yeah. Great. So thank you very much for watching this video. This channel is all about empowering you in your career, and I feel it's important if I can bring guests who can be able to share the experiences. I know before Ruby, all you've been watching is me, giving you career tips and advice. But I feel now, from now on, you'll be seeing more guest appearances because I believe we can be able to learn from each other. So thank you very much for watching. And if this is your first time uh, visiting this channel, why don't you subscribe, and we'll keep you updated with new videos. Thank you very much.